Hello and welcome to grammar class. Today's topic is passive voice of complex sentences. You see, if you wish to improve your English, you must watch the video attentively without skipping until the end. So first off, what is a complex sentence in English grammar? Well, a complex sentence is one that consists of a principal clause or a main clause and one or more subordinate or dependent clauses. For example, the sentence on your screen, we know that Wright brothers invented the first airplane, is a complex sentence because it has the principal clause we know and a subordinate or dependent clause which is that Wright brothers invented the first airplane. So a complex sentence has at least two clauses and they both have at least one finite verb each. Therefore, in order to change the voice of a complex sentence from active to passive, we must change the voices of both the clauses separately. Now, if both the principal clause and the subordinate clause contain transitive verbs, they will be changed into passive voice separately or individually in the sentence. For example, in the sentence, Tom told me that he didn't know the answer. Tom told me is the principal clause in which told is the transitive verb and me is its object. While in the subordinate clause that he didn't know the answer, didn't know is the transitive verb and answer is the object. So now in accordance with the rules of the change of voice, I am turning both the clauses into the passive voice individually. So now in the passive voice, the principal clause is I was told by Tom and the subordinate clause is that the answer was not known to him. In the next example, I liked the cake because my mother had baked it. I liked the cake is the principal clause in which liked is the transitive verb and cake is the object. And in the subordinate clause, because my mother had baked it, had baked is the transitive verb and it is its object. Again, change both the clauses into the passive voice separately. The cake was liked by me because it had been baked by my mother. But sometimes the principal clause has a transitive verb whose object is not a noun or a pronoun, but the subordinate that clause itself. In such complex sentences, the subordinate that clause acts as a noun clause and thus as the object of the transitive verb in the main clause. The subordinate noun clause may have a transitive or an intransitive verb. For example, in the sentence, we hope that you will repay the loan in time, the entire that clause, that you will repay the loan in time, is the object of the verb hope. To convert such a complex sentence into the passive voice, we use the introductory subject it in the principal clause and the real subject of the principal clause in the active voice we is written in the by phrase by us. And in the subordinate clause, the verb will repay is in active voice simple future tense. So this too is changed into the passive voice according to the rules. It is hoped by us that the loan will be repaid by you in time. So you see, both the clauses of this sentence are changed into passive voice in this way. I am not explaining the rules of voice change here, for which I request you to watch my previous video on this topic. Now see the next example. People believe that God exists everywhere. Here too, the that clause, that God exists everywhere, is the object of the verb believe in the principal clause. Hence, we will use the introductory it for the principal clause in the passive voice. In this way, people believe becomes it is believed. And since in the subordinate clause, the verb exist is intransitive, there will be no change of voice here. The subordinate clause will remain in the active voice as it is. It is believed that God exists everywhere. But sometimes we may have a complex sentence in which the subordinate that clause acts as the object of the principal clause. Moreover, the subordinate clause is in the passive voice and the subjects of the principal clause and the subordinate clause refer to the same person or thing. For example, he wants that he should be elected president. As you can see, the subordinate that clause, that he should be elected president, is in the passive voice and acts as the object of the verb wants. Also, the subjects of both the clauses is the pronoun he, referring to the same person. In such cases, the entire subordinate that clause is replaced with a passive infinitive. In this way, we are turning the complex sentence into a simple sentence with a single finite verb in the principal clause. He wants to be elected president. The next example is everyone wishes that he should be respected by all. The that clause, that he should be respected by all, is in the passive voice and the object of the verb wishes. The subjects of the two clauses also refer to the same person here. So in place of the subordinate that clause, we are using a passive infinitive in a simple sentence here. Everyone wishes to be respected by all. To be respected is the passive infinitive replacing the that clause, that he should be respected. However, when in a complex sentence, the principal clause has a transitive verb and the subordinate clause has an intransitive verb, we can only change the voice of the principal clause and leave the subordinate clause as it is. The teacher told us that the earth was getting warmer. In the principal clause here, the verb told is transitive and us is its object. But in the subordinate clause, that the earth was getting warmer, the verb getting is intransitive. Hence, we are only changing the voice of the principal clause. We were told by the teacher that the earth was getting warmer. And then we must conserve water so that we can survive in future. Conserve in the principal clause is transitive, while survive in the subordinate clause is intransitive. So here it goes, water must be conserved now so that we can survive in future. There are also complex sentences in which the subordinate clause begins with what. Remember, this what is the object of the verb in the subordinate clause. But the entire subordinate clause beginning with what also acts as the object of the verb in the principal clause. So obviously, in such complex sentences, the voice of both the clauses have to be changed into the passive. The first such sentence on your screen is, I don't preach what I don't practice. Here, I don't preach is the main clause, and the subordinate clause, what I don't practice, is the object of the verb preach. But mind you, what is also the object of the verb in the subordinate clause, practice? So the entire subordinate clause beginning with what is changed into the passive voice and made the subject of the sentence. Both the verbs preach and practice are in the simple present tense here. So in the passive voice, the complex sentence is, what is not practiced by me is not preached by me. And then you must listen to what your parents tell you. The subordinate clause, what your parents tell you, is the object of the verb listen to, and the pronoun what is the object of the verb tell in the subordinate clause. First, change the subordinate clause into the passive voice and then bring it to the subject's place of the sentence. What you were told by your parents must be listened to by you. Now let's learn how to convert a complex sentence in passive voice to a simple sentence in passive voice. If the main clause of a complex sentence contains a finite verb such as think, believe, consider, suspect, report, allege, say, know, etc., and is followed by a subordinate that clause acting as its object, in the passive voice, such a complex sentence begins with the introductory it. For example, it is said that he is the greatest player of all times. Now we can change this complex sentence in the passive voice into a passive simple sentence. For that, we use the structure of subject plus verb be plus past participle plus the infinitive phrase. So we are removing the introductory it and we are also removing the conjunction that. In this way, we have the simple sentence in passive voice, he is said to be the greatest player of all times. Similarly, it is expected that the train will arrive in time is also a complex sentence in passive voice. To turn it into a simple passive, we are removing the introductory it and the conjunction that. And then on the above mentioned structure on your screen, we have the simple passive, the train is expected to arrive in time. The simple sentence here looks compact and sounds better. In the next example, we have a complex sentence in which both the clauses are in the passive voice. It is believed that he has been drowned. To turn this into a simple sentence, we have to follow the same rules as before. Additionally, the infinitive phrase will also be in the passive voice in this case. He is believed to have been drowned. Now in the last segment of this video, I am going to explain the era of double passives in a simple sentence. To understand the concept, first look at the simple sentence in active voice on your screen. We proposed to organize a picnic. Suppose we have to change this into passive voice. Now look at the first passive sentence on your screen. A picnic was proposed to be organized by us. Now in this sentence, we can see two passive verbs, was proposed and to be organized. Now this is known as the era of double passives in a simple sentence. But then what is the mistake in this sentence? You see, this passive sentence does not indicate who made this proposal. So we have to use a complex sentence here with two passive verbs in distinct clauses. It was proposed by us that a picnic should be organized. It was proposed by us is the main clause or principal clause, and that a picnic should be organized is the subordinate clause. Take another example. The judge ordered the convict to be imprisoned for life. Here the finite verb ordered is in the active voice followed by the passive infinitive to be imprisoned. But in the first passive sentence on your screen, there is an error of double passives. Was ordered and to be imprisoned. But this sentence is mistaken because it seems that the judge gave the order to the convict. We can correct this sentence as a complex sentence. It was ordered by the judge that the convict should be imprisoned for life. Alternatively, the simple sentences in the respective examples, it was proposed by us to hold a meeting and it was ordered by the judge to imprison the convict for life are also correct constructions. That's the end of today's class. Hopefully you liked the video. Please be sure to like, comment, share and subscribe to our channel for more grammar content. And also do not forget to click the notification bell so that you do not miss any video uploaded by us. Thanks for watching.